Hello, guys. Today we are going to see Queen's Gambit structure line. It's a Queen's Gambit exchange variation, and White has a minority pawns on the Queen side. This game was played by Tiger and Petrosian and Bagza in Budapest 1955, and this is one of the model game of for the Queen's Gambit structure. Okay, let's go with the game. uh, d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, d5, cd5, ed5, bishop g5, and c6. It's all typical stuff. And now e3 and bishop f5. Now black develops his bishop on the long diagonal, and now queen goes f3, queen f3. Actually, this early queen sortie, white can force an ugly weakness in black's pawn structure. He considers it more important to cause this weakness than to hold on to the bishop pair. Okay, then bishop g6. After bishop g6, bishop takes f6 and g takes f6. Also, queen takes f6 is possible. It will lead to an end game. You will see that game later. Now queen d1, queen returns to the initial square again. This is because the queen has done her duty. The reason for this is black is ready for queen b6, after which the defense of the white's b2 pawn would become a problem. So after queen b6, queen d2, knight a6, queen knight f3, and long castles. Uh, then a3, then next a3. This move is actually for defending the b4 square, and also for later b4 b5 push for the minority attack, uh, and also to stop the c6 c5 push. And next, knight c7. Here, if black plays c5, if black plays c5, white goes knight a4, and after knight a4, queen c6, then knight takes c5 comes. Knight takes c5. After the exchange, knight takes c5 and dc5. Black can't take this c5 pawn because of the pin, deadly pin here. Rook c1 comes. So c5 push is not possible now for black. So after a3, knight c7, knight c7, b4, white pushes b4 before black can push c5, b4, knight e8, rook, bishop e2, knight d6, queen a2, and knight e4. Okay, rook c1, knight takes c3, rook takes c3, bishop d6, castles, and king d7. The engine says king b8 is the best move here. The king leaves the line of fire, so it is time for white to formulate a new plan. So white goes knight h4, uh, next king e7 and f4, and you may think that this weakens the e3 pawn, but Petrosian reckons that black, with his current piece configuration, is hardly able to attack this weakness. With his last move, white aims to trade the light square bishop. After this exchange, the advantage become obvious. Uh, Getting the knight to the f5 square, and also have eliminated the black's bishop pair, and have made black's pawns on the king side very vulnerable. Next, bishop e4. The bishop comes to e4 because it's attacked, and at the same time, the f5 push is feared. If at all black plays f5, let me see what happens. If it's f5, Then what does the analysis say? F5 is best. It says F5 is best. After F5, King H1. King H1, is it a good move? After F5, King H1 is an inaccuracy. Black must go E4. Bishop E D3 is coming. And after King F8 is a good move. King F8, and then Queen is coming. Queen to coming to F2. The F5 pawn is being attacked, and now the rook attacks the weak pawn. Weak E3 pawn. Now the bishop takes the pawn, so the pawn will be lost if black puts F5. Okay, okay. Bishop E4. After this, okay, then bishop E4 comes. Now bishop D3. Bishop D3, bishop E4, bishop takes D3. So white doesn't have a choice, and also on G6 it would be trapped. So and also letting white to take on E4 would be worse for black. So it was better he exchanged the bishops, and now rook takes D3, rook D7, and knight F5 check. The knight has landed on its ideal square, and it is undisputed now. And after king D8, rook B1, rook B1, A6. A6 is an inaccuracy. Black tries to dig in and himself for the coming white's breakthrough. But Petrosian is a true master in exploiting these kind of advantages. Uh, and then in the long run, he wants to play b4, b5, but in the meantime, he's also watching the weak pawns on the king side. So then after a6, queen f2, rook e8, rook d b3, queen b5, rook c3, bishop f8, queen c2, queen b6, rook c b3, queen b5, king f2. The king comes to defend the weak e3 pawn, and making it even clearer that black will never develop any play against the e3. So then after rook c7, rook c3, a5, a5, black loses all his patience, though this plays into white's hand. And after rook cb3, queen c4, queen b2. Petrosian prefers on this occasion to convert with queen still on the board. So then after ab4, king d7, rook a1, rook goes for the open file, rook cc8, and rook a7. Now queen b5, queen a3, rook c7, knight g3, rook ec8, and then after queen b2, queen c4. Queen c4 is a mistake, and queen b1 is also a mistake. The right move here should be king d8. The engine says to go for king d8. If king d8 is played, what would white play? White's play would be queen b1 attacking the h7 pawn, and after that, now white is exploiting all black's weaknesses. Rook d7 is a good, no, instead of rook d7 it's better to play h6. And now okay, the queen is attacked. And then after queen c4, queen c4 is a move for a penetration into white's camp. And h3 instead of h3, rook a2 is possible. Rook a2, okay, rook a2, and bishop So the engine wants to play in this manner, but the players don't go for what the players make a mistake. It was white's. Now after queen c4, white would have gone b5, but he misses the chance. But soon he would go, and after queen b1, king e8, knight h5, bishop d6, bishop d6 and b5. b5 finally the long expected advance have come, and b6. But this doesn't help. Okay, after b6, rook a2, cb5, rook b5, bishop e7, rook takes b6, rook c6, rook takes c6, rook takes c6, and rook a8 check. Checking the king, and king d7. After king d7, rook a7, rook a7 check, again check, rook c7, rook takes c7, king takes c7, and queen takes h7, and finally black's weaknesses are exploited. So there is no counterplay possible for black, and the finish was clinical. So this is the end of the game. Let's see how white finishes off black. Okay, and then queen b1, f5, queen b1, f5, knight g3, bishop h4, and knight e2, bishop e7, h3, bishop b4, knight g3, king c6, knight takes f5, king b5, knight d6 check, king a4, knight takes f7, but it's of no use now, guys. White has 4 pawns up. White is 4 pawns up, and it's of no use. That knight is undisputed. And finally, Petrosian shows his class, and it was time for Bagza to resign. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed this game. I'll meet you in the next game, guys. Thank you.